Welcome to Reclaiming Me, a trauma-informed podcast helping women with complex PTSD heal the lasting impact of childhood attachment wounds from parents and caregivers, so you can finally release people-pleasing and perfectionism and learn to trust in relationships, beginning with the one you have with yourself. I'm your host, Cindy Payne, therapist, trauma specialist, and a woman who has walked this path both personally and professionally.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh, man, if you joined us on Monday for the full-length episode, we did some pretty heavy lifting around what forgiveness actually is and isn't. And I hope it gave you some room to breathe if you have noticed that you've been carrying shame about where you are at with somebody that hurt you. And today, I want to give you something practical. So a way to think about forgiveness that takes the all or nothing pressure completely off the table. All right. So there is this concept that Harriet Lerner talks about in her book, Why Won't You Apologize? That I think is genuinely liberating. And it's this idea that forgiveness doesn't have to be binary, that you don't have to be either fully forgiving or completely unforgiving, that you can hold complexity, that you can be at 30% of forgiveness or 50 or 80 or 5, and that whatever number you are at, even if it's 0, is valid, and that it can shift over time or it can stay exactly where it is. And both of those things are okay. And this matters so much because the all or nothing framing of forgiveness is really one of the things that keep people most stuck. Because if the only acceptable destination is full forgiveness, and you cannot genuinely get there, and you may have very good reasons for that, then the whole conversation becomes a source of shame rather than a source of healing. So what if instead you just got honest about where you actually are? So I want to teach you the skill, and the skill is called the forgiveness percentage practice. And this is a reflective practice. So you can do this in your head, in a journal, or talk it out with a trusted friend or therapist, because it's not getting to a right answer. It's about getting to an honest answer. So here we go. Step 1, I want you to name the situation. So bring to mind a specific person or situation where forgiveness has been really complicated for you. And don't try to work on everything at once. Okay. Just take maybe one thing, like one person, one wound, and let's start there. So if you tuned into Monday, I talked about a family member of ours getting physically hurt by an adult on a vacation. And this was a person that we were supposed to trust by proxy of the family member. And when this violation occurred and we were looking for not only acknowledgement, but forgiveness, and that didn't come, the wound then, so we've identified the people involved, and the wound is no repair. So no attempt at any repair and ownership and accountability. Okay. And so let's go into step 2, because again, if there's a lot of different things that went into that situation, but I'm asking you to just pick the one big thing that feels hard. Okay. All right. Now let's go to step 2. So step 2, once you've already identified the person, the wound, the thing, okay, I want you to ask where you actually are. So if you had to put a number on it, somewhere between 0 and 100, where would you say you're at with this right now? Not where you think you should be, not where your pastor or your mother or your therapist thinks you should be, but where are you actually? So 0 means the wound is completely raw and the thought of any forgiveness feels impossible and wrong. 100 means that you have genuinely found peace with what happened and you released the charge around it. And most of us are somewhere in between. And most of us fluctuate depending on the day, the trigger, how much sleep we got, whether something reminded us of it recently. So wherever your number is, just notice it without judging it and without the pressure to move it along. And step 3, ask what's keeping you where you are. So this is not about blame. It's about honest accounting. Is it that the person has never apologized? Is it that the harm was so significant that any percentage of forgiveness feels like minimizing it? Is it that you're still in the middle of grieving what happened? Is it that you've tried to get there and found yourself unable to stay there? And all of those are valid answers. And all of them tell you something important about what you actually need, even if what you need has nothing to do with forgiveness at all. And step 4, this is our last step, ask what, if anything, that you want. So not what you should want, what you actually want. Do you want to move the number? Do you want to stay where you are? Do you want to find peace inside of you without moving the number at all? Do you want to understand what moving the number would even require of you? And by moving the number, let me just explain that, it's like, let's say I was hanging around at like a 10% and the thought of forgiving this person just made me like absolutely revolt. And maybe it's because I know that this person isn't ever going to take accountability because they've had a really long time to do it and they haven't done so. Maybe it's that, or maybe it's just that the thing that happened was so traumatic and so unthinkable and so disgusting that you just don't even know how you could even accept that person, aligns with that or would tolerate that kind of behavior type stuff, right? So like those are things that like you're never, ever, 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 ever in the history of ever going to be able to change, but you can change how you accept that now. So I think, moving the number means how much less do I want to suffer and what do I need to be able to accept or move through to reduce that suffering, regardless if I ever get an apology or not. So that is your practice this week, is find your number, get honest about what's keeping you there, and give yourself full permission to stay exactly where you are. And on Monday of next week, we are going to be going into one of the most important distinctions in this whole series. So the difference between forgiving and reconciling, because you can do one without the other. And for many of us with trauma histories, understanding that distinction is what finally makes it possible to stop feeling like we have to choose between our own healing and our own truth. So you don't want to miss it. And remember, this is the last week that I'll be taking in listener questions for the 2-part Ask Me Anything episodes on complex PTSD. So all of my contact information is in the show notes. Take good care of yourself this week, and I'll see you back next Monday. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for spending this time with me today. I hope you leave feeling a little lighter, a little more grounded, and a little closer to trusting yourself and your inner experience. If this episode resonated with you, please follow or subscribe so future conversations can meet you when they're needed. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, consider sharing this episode with them. That's one of the ways this work reaches the people who need it the most. You can find me on Instagram at Cindy Payne Rooted, and you can also visit me at cindypayne.com, where you'll find all episode links, blog posts, practice updates, and a free people-pleasing style quiz designed to help you notice your patterns with more compassion. And remember, every small step towards healing, self-trust, and presence matters. You are worthy of this journey. Thanks, everyone.